Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this one moment you're alive, breathing, thinking about tomorrow, and the next, everything goes dark. No sound, no heartbeat, no second chances. In that silence between life and death, I saw the truth most people spend a lifetime running from, that we don't really start living until we realize how close we are to losing it all. What I'm about to share with you isn't a story about death. It's a revelation about life, about purpose, and about the moment that changed everything forever. And, ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life that shake us to the core, moments that break every illusion of control we thought we had. For some, it's losing everything. For others, it's a betrayal, a diagnosis, or a dream collapsing. But for me, it was a moment that pushed me to the very edge of existence itself. A moment when I could feel life slipping away, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat, and I realized most people don't start living until they come close to dying. And I remember that instant vividly. The world became silent, my body went cold. Every sound, every color, every sensation faded into a tunnel of stillness. And in that stillness, I saw the truth: how fragile, how sacred, how unbelievably short this life really is. You think you have time, you think tomorrow is guaranteed, but in that instant I understood something that forever changed me. Time is the greatest illusion, and presence is the only reality. And we walk through life as if the clock owes us hours. We plan, we wait, we complain, we postpone. We tell ourselves, someday I'll start living, someday I'll chase that dream, someday I'll forgive. But that someday never comes. Because someday is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid the truth. That right now, this very breath, is all we ever have. And when I was lying there, feeling everything fade, I didn't think about my goals or my achievements. I didn't think about money, fame, or success. I thought about people, I thought about moments, I thought about love, laughter, and the simple beauty of being alive. And that's when it hit me: most of us are chasing the wrong things. We are obsessed with more followers, more possessions, more validation, when the most powerful gift is not more, it's enough. And the moment I came back, gasping for air, I didn't come back as the same person. I came back as someone who had glimpsed what truly matters. I realized that fear had ruled so many of my choices: fear of failing, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But when you come face to face with death, fear loses its power. Because once you've looked into the void and come back, you understand that the greatest tragedy is not dying. It's living without ever truly being alive. And so let me ask you, are you alive, or are you just existing? Are you waking up every day fueled with gratitude and purpose? Or are you simply repeating yesterday's routine on autopilot? You see, real living isn't about years, it's about depth. Some people live 100 years and never truly experience life. Others live one bold, fearless decade and leave behind a legacy that lasts forever. And when I came back, everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. The sunrise wasn't just light anymore, it was a miracle. The laughter of a child wasn't just noise, it was music. Every moment became sacred because I knew it could be the last, and that awareness became my power. That awareness made me unstoppable, because when you stop fearing the end, you start living your beginning. And that near-death experience wasn't a curse, it was a gift. It stripped away my ego, my excuses, my false sense of control. It showed me that pain, fear, and uncertainty are not enemies, they're teachers. Every moment of suffering you've been through, every heartbreak, every failure, it was life trying to wake you up. It was life whispering, you are more than this, you are capable of so much more. But sometimes we're so busy complaining about the pain that we miss the lesson hidden inside it. And I realized that the key to life isn't about adding more years. It's about adding more life to your years. It's about being intentional. It's about showing up fully every single day. It's about saying I love you when you can, forgiving when it's hardest, and taking risks when fear tells you not to. Because you never know when the moment will come that everything goes quiet and you no longer have another chance to say what you truly feel. And I'll tell you something powerful: the fear of death isn't what limits most people. It's the fear of truly living. Because living requires vulnerability, it requires courage, it means opening your heart, risking failure, daring to be different. It means breaking free from the comfort zone that's killing your spirit. You don't need a near-death experience to wake up. You just need to decide right now that your life matters enough to stop waiting and start living. And when I came back, I made a vow to myself to stop surviving and start thriving, to stop being a spectator and start being the author of my story. You have that same choice right now. Maybe you haven't been near death, but I guarantee you've had a moment that broke you, a moment that made you question everything. Don't waste that pain, don't bury it, use it, turn it into power, because the moment you start to see your pain as a teacher, your whole world changes. And every scar, every heartbreak, every fall, it's not there to destroy you. It's there to awaken you. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. That's the shift that turns victims into victors. That's the mindset that separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. And imagine if today were your last day. Who would you forgive? Who would you tell that you love? What dream would you finally chase without hesitation? Don't wait for tragedy to teach you the value of time. Don't wait for loss to show you the beauty of presence. You can make the decision now to live fully, love deeply, and give completely. And you were not put on this earth to play small. You were not created to simply breathe, pay bills, and die. You were born to create, to connect, to inspire, to experience the fullness of life. But that won't happen until you wake up to the truth. Life is not a promise, it's a privilege, and every sunrise is a second chance. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you still have time to change your story. You don't need a near-death experience to realize that. You just need awareness. You need to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start creating it. And so many people live in fear of dying when the real fear should be never living at all. You have a fire inside you that's been buried under comfort, under doubt, under routine, but that fire never goes out. It's waiting for you to ignite it. And you see, when you've been to the edge, you realize how little you actually need. You realize that happiness isn't found in the noise, it's found in the stillness. It's found in gratitude, in love, in presence, and that's the secret to a fulfilled life, not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. And life is short, unpredictable, and infinitely precious. Don't waste it waiting, don't waste it fearing. Don't waste it pretending that you have forever, because one day everything you're holding on to will fade, and all that will remain is who you became in the process. And so live now, love now, forgive now, take the risk now, because the clock is ticking and every second is whispering the same message: this is your time. And when I say this is your time, I mean it in the deepest sense possible. This isn't just about success, achievement, or recognition. It's about awakening. It's about coming alive to the full experience of being human. You were given a mind that can imagine, a heart that can love, and a spirit that can endure anything. Yet, so often, we trap ourselves in invisible cages built from fear, doubt, and the opinions of others. We let society tell us what matters, we let fear dictate what's possible, and we forget that life itself, the breath in your lungs right now, is the most extraordinary miracle you'll ever possess. And when you come close to losing it all, you see through the noise. You realize how much of life you've wasted worrying about things that never really mattered. You realize that the people you thought would always be there can vanish in an instant. And you understand that no argument, no grudge, no insecurity is worth the time it steals from you. Every second you spend angry, afraid, or resentful is a second of your life you'll never get back. And once that awareness sinks in, you start to live differently. You start to speak from the heart. You start to listen deeply. You start to forgive not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. And you begin to see that real love isn't about possession, it's about presence. It's not about control, it's about connection. And suddenly, the things that once seemed small, sunlight through a window, a stranger's smile, the sound of rain, become sacred. You start to appreciate them not because they're rare, but because you realize how easily they could be gone. And that experience taught me something else. The body is fragile, but the human spirit is unbreakable. When your body is weak, your spirit can still roar. When your circumstances are against you, your mind can still choose hope. There were moments in that experience where I could feel my strength fading, but there was still something inside of me saying, "Hold on, you are not done yet." That voice, the one that refuses to give up, is inside every single one of us. It's the voice that pushes people to survive impossible odds, to rise from tragedy, to rebuild after devastation. It's not just resilience, it's the soul remembering what it was created for, and we forget that we are designed to overcome. We are built for challenge. The pain you feel is not punishment, it's preparation. It's your spirit being stretched so it can grow stronger. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure. It's life testing your faith in yourself, not to break you, but to show you what you're capable of. Because you never know how powerful you truly are until life demands that power from you. And most people don't realize how much control they actually have. They think their lives are dictated by circumstance, by luck, by timing. But the truth is, the quality of your life will always reflect the quality of your decisions. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. You can choose to rise instead of retreat. You can choose to see lessons instead of losses. You can choose to create meaning out of chaos. That choice, that freedom, is what makes you unstoppable. And when I came back, I started noticing how people move through life half awake. They rush through their days, lost in distractions, scrolling endlessly, chasing validation, comparing themselves to others who are also lost. They miss the miracle that's right in front of them. You don't need to survive a near-death experience to wake up. You just need to stop running from silence. Because in silence you remember who you are, you remember what matters, you remember that life doesn't happen in the future, it happens now. And I learned that gratitude is the gateway to transformation. When you begin and end each day with gratitude, everything changes. Gratitude shifts your energy, your focus, and your reality. It turns what you have into enough. It turns struggle into strength. It turns moments into miracles. Every time you feel lost or broken, ask yourself one simple question: what can I be grateful for right now? It could be something small, the air you breathe, the fact that you're still here, the chance to start again. Gratitude pulls you out of fear and brings you back to life, and you see life is a mirror. It reflects back what you focus on. If you focus on lack, you'll live in scarcity. If you focus on fear, you'll live in anxiety. But if you focus on love, growth, and purpose, your entire world transforms. The energy you bring into the world becomes the energy that returns to you. That's why when you live with intention, when you wake up each day asking, how can I serve? How can I grow? How can I love deeper? Life begins to respond in ways you never imagined possible. And the near-death moment stripped away everything superficial. It made me realize that the only currency that truly matters is impact. The effect you have on others, the legacy you leave in their hearts. Because no one will remember what car you drove or what watch you wore. They will remember how you made them feel. Did you inspire them? Did you lift them when they were down? Did you make them believe in themselves again? That is the real measure of a life well lived, and I want you to hear this. Your story matters. Every scar, every failure, every battle you've fought has value. Stop hiding your pain, it's your power. Someone out there needs your story to find their strength. Don't wait until it's too late to share it. The moments you think broke you are the same moments that can break others free. And when you've been to the edge, you stop fearing the unknown. You start realizing that uncertainty is not something to avoid. It's something to embrace, because uncertainty is where growth lives. It's where faith is built. It's where the magic of transformation happens. Life isn't supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be meaningful. And meaning is born in the moments when you dare to step beyond what's comfortable and into what's possible. And sometimes people ask me, how do I start living like that? You start by making one decision, to no longer waste your life on what doesn't matter. You start by choosing presence over distraction, love over ego, courage over comfort. You start by taking a deep breath and realizing that you don't need permission to change. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need to start right here, right now, and because every transformation begins with one bold step. You don't need to see the whole path, you just need to take the first step in faith. Life will reveal the rest as you move. The problem is, most people wait to feel ready, but readiness is a lie. You'll never feel ready to chase your dream, to have that conversation, to take that leap. You just have to trust that the same life that gave you the dream will give you the strength to pursue it. And that's what the near-death moment taught me. Trust. Trust that there's something greater guiding you. Trust that even in your darkest hours there's light ahead. Trust that the pain you feel now is part of a bigger design that will one day make sense. Because life isn't random, every challenge, every detour, every delay. It's all shaping you for something extraordinary. And when you finally stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Everything shifts. You move from victim to creator, you reclaim your power, and you begin to live not from fear, but from faith. And I realize that the purpose of life isn't just to survive, it's to evolve. It's to grow, to love, to give, to awaken. We are here to experience the full spectrum of life, the joy and the sorrow, the pain and the beauty, because that's how we expand. That's how we become more of who we were meant to be. And the truth is, every time you face something that feels like the end, it's not the end. It's a rebirth. That near-death experience wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. It was the moment I stopped chasing life and started living it. And you can do the same. Because you don't need a brush with death to wake up. You just need to decide that your life, your time, and your love are too valuable to waste another second. And every morning you wake up is a second chance, a new opportunity to rewrite your story, to choose who you'll become, to create meaning from your pain. You've been given this breath, this moment, this heartbeat, and it's yours. Don't let it pass by unnoticed. Because one day you'll look back and realize the miracle wasn't that you survived, the miracle was that you finally learned how to live. And when you finally learn how to live, something shifts so profoundly inside of you that you can never go back to the person you once were. You begin to see life not as a race, but as a revelation, something unfolding through you, not just around you. You stop obsessing over what you can't control and start mastering what you can. You stop seeking validation from others and start creating alignment within yourself. Because once you've glimpsed how fragile life truly is, you realize that authenticity isn't optional, it's essential. Pretending to be someone you're not is a slow form of dying, and honesty with yourself and with others becomes liberation. And you start realizing how much energy you've wasted wearing masks, chasing approval, and trying to fit into expectations that were never meant for you. You understand that every no you were afraid to say was a small betrayal of your own soul, and so you begin to reclaim your power. Bit by bit, choice by choice. You start saying yes to what fuels your spirit and no to what drains it. You start recognizing that peace is not something you find. It's something you create moment by choosing truth over comfort, purpose over convenience, and love over fear. And you begin to understand that fear will never disappear. It doesn't vanish because you become brave. It stays. But you learn to move through it. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. It's the ability to look at your fear and say, you don't get to make my decisions anymore. Because the moment you let fear dictate your choices, you stop growing. You stop evolving, and life begins to shrink around you. And that experience taught me that we don't really fear death, we fear living without meaning. We fear reaching the end and realizing we never gave ourselves fully. That's why purpose matters, not in a grand, abstract way, but in a deeply personal one. Purpose is what gives your pain a reason. It's what turns struggle into strength. It's what transforms survival into significance. When you find your purpose, you stop drifting. You stop needing life to be easy because now it's meaningful. And you don't find your purpose by waiting for some divine message. You find it by serving, by showing up for people, by turning your wounds into wisdom, by asking, how can my story help someone else rise? Because when your life becomes about contribution instead of accumulation, something inside you heals. You realize you were never here to take. You were here to give. You were here to experience the full power of love, not the fragile kind that depends on what you get, but the unstoppable kind that lives in what you give. And when I came back from that experience, every moment became sacred, every interaction mattered, every sunrise felt like a conversation with life itself. I began to see the beauty in people again, their pain, their hope, their hunger for something more. And I realized that we're all walking around carrying invisible battles. Everyone you meet is fighting something you can't see. That's why kindness matters. That's why compassion is power. Because sometimes the smallest act of understanding can save someone who's about to give up. And I started to understand that real strength isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the strength to forgive when it would be easier to hate. It's the strength to stay soft in a world that hardens people. It's the strength to keep loving even after being broken. That's the kind of strength life is built on. Not dominance, but endurance. Not perfection, but perseverance. And you realize that every challenge, every heartbreak, every storm was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you. Pain is the sculptor of the soul. It carves away everything that isn't real, everything that isn't aligned, until what's left is your true essence, raw, powerful, alive. And that's the beauty of it. The same pain that tried to break you is what ultimately sets you free. But most people run from their pain, they numb it, they bury it, they pretend it doesn't exist. Yet, pain only transforms when you face it, when you stop resisting and start asking, what is this here to teach me? That's when pain turns into purpose. That's when the darkness you feared becomes the very light that guides you forward. And you begin to understand that everything you've ever been through has meaning. The heartbreak that shattered you taught you how to love deeper. The failure that embarrassed you taught you humility and resilience. The loss that crushed you opened your heart to empathy. Nothing is wasted. Every chapter serves the story, even the ones that hurt. Especially the ones that hurt. And when you live from that awareness, you stop blaming life for your struggles. You start thanking it for the opportunity to grow. You start realizing that every no you faced was life protecting you from something smaller than your destiny. Every delay was preparation. Every disappointment was redirection. There are no wasted moments, only misunderstood ones. And you start living with a new kind of focus. You stop waiting for motivation and start cultivating discipline. You stop wishing for easy paths and start building strong character. You stop complaining about circumstances and start creating solutions. Because once you've felt life slipping away, you understand that time is too precious to waste on excuses. You either create the life you want or you settle for the one you're given. And both are a choice, and you start to notice that true wealth isn't found in possessions, it's found in peace. It's found in the stillness of knowing you're aligned with who you are and what you're here to do. You could have the whole world and still feel empty, or you could have nothing and feel completely full because fulfillment isn't measured by what's in your hands, but by what's in your heart. And you learn to slow down. You stop chasing the next thing and start appreciating the now. You stop measuring your worth by achievements and start measuring it by the love you give, the joy you share, the difference you make. And something extraordinary happens. Life starts meeting you halfway. Opportunities appear where fear once stood. Synchronicities guide you where logic can't. The more alive you become, the more life responds, and you realize that miracles aren't rare. They're constant. Every heartbeat is one. Every moment of laughter, every second of connection, every chance to start again, that's a miracle. We just forget to notice them because we're too busy searching for something greater. But the greatest miracle is this: you're still here. You're still breathing. You still have a chance to change everything, and that's the revelation. The awareness that everything you need to live an extraordinary life is already within you. You've always had the strength, you've always had the courage, you've always had the light. You just buried it under fear, under doubt, under noise. But once you remove the layers, once you reconnect with that fire inside, nothing can stop you, and every single person alive has that same power. Some just never awaken to it until something shakes them to their core. That's why the near-death experience, though terrifying, was also a blessing. It woke me up to the truth that every day is a gift. That you don't need to wait for a second chance, you already have it right now. And you begin to live with urgency but not panic. You live with passion but not recklessness. You live with purpose, knowing that everything you do ripples outward in ways you may never see. You start realizing that your energy affects the world around you, that your words carry power, that your presence has the ability to lift or destroy. So you choose to lift. You choose to be the light in someone's darkness, the hope in someone's despair, the reminder that even after the deepest night, the sun still rises. And that's what life becomes: a series of awakenings, a constant dance between losing yourself and finding yourself again. You stop fearing those moments of loss because you understand that every time you fall apart, you rebuild stronger, wiser, more alive. You stop trying to control life and start flowing with it. You trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even when you don't understand it. And you start to live not for longevity, but for legacy. You live in a way that makes the world better because you existed. You speak truth even when your voice shakes. You love even when it hurts. You keep showing up even when it's uncomfortable. Because you've realized something most people never do: you don't need guarantees to live fully. You just need presence, gratitude, and the courage to give your all to this one precious moment before it's gone forever. And the moment you begin to live that way, fully present, fully alive, life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens through you. You become a channel for something greater, something unshakable, something that cannot be defined by circumstance or limited by fear. You stop trying to control every outcome because you understand that real power isn't about control. It's about surrender. It's about trusting the flow of life, trusting that even the storms have a purpose, even the losses have meaning, even the detours are part of the destination. And when you've stood face to face with death, the idea of failure no longer terrifies you, because you realize failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. It's the soil where growth takes root. Every failure is a teacher dressed in disappointment, and every mistake is simply a mirror showing you the next step toward mastery. The people who live extraordinary lives aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who keep rising. again and again, with more wisdom, with more courage, with more clarity than before, and you start to understand that pain and purpose are intertwined. The greater the pain you've endured, the deeper the purpose waiting to be revealed. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is life asking me to become through this? That shift changes everything. Suddenly, the very things that once broke you become the things that define you. The heartbreak becomes your compassion, the loss becomes your gratitude, the failure becomes your faith. Life isn't punishing you. It's preparing you for a version of yourself you haven't yet met, and every person who's ever achieved greatness had a moment where they could have quit. A moment where everything seemed impossible, a moment where fear screamed louder than faith, but they didn't stop. They didn't surrender to the pain, they used it, they turned it into fuel. That's the secret most people never realize. Pain can be your prison, or it can be your power. It all depends on what you decide to do with it. And when you've been given a second chance, you start valuing moments differently. You no longer rush through the days. You no longer measure success by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute. You start noticing how fleeting each heartbeat truly is. You begin to see that what really matters isn't what you do once in a while. It's who you become every single day. It's in the small decisions, the small acts of courage, the small moments of love that life takes on its true meaning. And you realize that the people who impact the world most aren't the ones who shout the loudest, they're the ones who live the truest. They're the ones who embody authenticity in a world addicted to appearances. Because when you live from truth, you give permission for others to do the same. Your presence becomes a spark, and that spark ignites others. That's how real transformation happens, not through force, but through example. And there's a quiet power in living awake. It's the kind of power that can't be taken by circumstance or shaken by chaos. It's the power of peace, the kind that radiates from within. It doesn't mean you won't face storms, it means you'll stop drowning in them. You'll stop fighting against the current and instead learn to ride the waves. Because you've learned that every wave, no matter how strong, eventually carries you forward if you stop resisting and start trusting. And the more you awaken, the more you realize how much beauty there is in imperfection. We spend so much of our lives trying to appear perfect, chasing flawless images, flawless achievements, flawless lives. But perfection is lifeless, it's sterile, it has no soul. True beauty lives in authenticity, in the cracks, the flaws, the scars. It lives in the courage to be seen exactly as you are. Because it's only when you drop the mask that you become real. And only what is real has the power to connect. And you start to understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength in its purest form. It takes courage to open your heart after it's been broken. It takes faith to keep believing after you've been disappointed. It takes strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards hardness. That's real power, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that transforms. The kind that says, I refuse to let the world make me bitter. I will love louder, I will give deeper, I will rise higher. And you begin to live guided not by fear of loss, but by love of life. You stop protecting yourself from pain, because you know pain will visit regardless, but suffering is optional. You suffer when you resist what is. You find peace when you accept it. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means you stop fighting reality and start working with it, the kind that's genuine, and not from denial, but from awareness. And the beautiful part is, once you embrace this awareness, you start seeing opportunities everywhere. Where others see endings, you see beginnings. Where others see problems, you see potential. You stop asking life to be easier and start asking yourself to be stronger. You stop searching for motivation and start creating momentum. Because you understand that every great transformation begins with a single decision. To stop waiting and start moving. And you start realizing that happiness was never something to chase. It's something to remember. It's something that's already here, buried beneath the noise of worry and expectation. The moment you stop searching for happiness out there, you rediscover it in here. You see it in the simplicity of a morning breath, the warmth of human connection, the joy of doing something that matters. And that's when you understand that fulfillment isn't found in reaching the mountaintop, it's found in climbing it. And you also begin to notice that the people who inspire you most are not the ones who have had perfect lives. They're the ones who have faced their shadows and turned them into light. They're the ones who have been through hell and still choose to see heaven in the smallest moments. Because once you've faced your own darkness, you stop fearing anyone else's. You stop judging, you start understanding, you become a bridge instead of a wall. And that's the transformation that near death brings, not just gratitude for life, but a radical clarity about what matters. You stop chasing validation and start chasing vision. You stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be impactful. You stop wanting to be right and start wanting to be real. Because you realize that none of the external achievements mean anything if they're not aligned with your soul. And you start to let go of grudges, of control, of the illusion that everything needs to make sense. You start trusting the process, you start finding peace in the unknown, you stop asking when will things get better, and start asking how can I become better right now? That shift changes your reality, because when you change the way you see life, life changes the way it shows up for you. And you begin to notice that every person, every event, every twist in your path is part of a divine choreography designed to awaken you. The heartbreak that you thought destroyed you, it cracked you open. The failure that embarrassed you, it redirected you. The loss that broke you, it taught you love in its truest form. Life is not random. It's intelligent, it's intentional, it's sacred. You just need to be still enough to hear what it's teaching you. And as you deepen in this awareness, you start to experience freedom, not the kind that comes from escaping life, but the kind that comes from embracing it completely. You stop being a prisoner of your thoughts and start becoming the master of your mind. You realize that peace isn't found by fixing everything outside. It's found by healing everything inside. The moment you shift your focus from control to consciousness, from fear to faith, from judgment to gratitude, your entire experience transforms. And that's when you finally understand that the real purpose of life isn't about chasing safety, it's about embracing significance. It's about becoming the fullest expression of who you are meant to be. It's about living in such a way that when the end does come, and it will come, you can look back and say, I didn't just survive, I lived, I gave, I loved, I became. And because after you've faced the edge of death, you realize something profound. You don't truly begin to live until you stop trying to avoid dying. You begin to live when you embrace uncertainty, when you step boldly into the unknown, when you trust the power within you more than the fear around you. You begin to live when you let your heart lead, when you allow life to move through you, when you stop chasing and start becoming. And every day becomes sacred, every moment becomes holy, every breath becomes a reminder that this, right here, right now, is life. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when everything is perfect, but this moment, imperfect and fleeting, is where your entire existence unfolds. And once you truly understand that, you stop running, you stop waiting, you stop fearing, and you start living.